Hello, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Ayca Bas, and my colleague Bob is here as well. We are cloud advocates at Microsoft, and this is multi-part series videos on how to build Who is Online Bot, and we are in the last video, unfortunately. So it's a really sad moment for us today. We are recording this. So in this video, we will talk about how to handle interruptions in our Who's Online bot. But when we say interruptions, what does it mean, Bob? For example, just like any human interruption, can you give
Yeah,
us an
exactly.
example?
Yeah, and I know as I mentioned at the end of the last video, in my part of the world, people interrupt each other constantly, and it's just part of the culture here, I think, to interrupt, and it's maybe that's why people think we're rude, but actually we're really friendly. We just like to talk a lot, I guess. But anyway, there's value sometimes in having your bot be able to handle interruptions too. It's a little different than just trying to be so excited about what you're saying that you're talking over someone. But let me show an example. So here I am in the bot, and I'm going to ask about one of my teammates. So check on Alice, and it turns out that I have two Alices on my team. So the bot is going to disambiguate, and one of the earlier videos talked about how that works. So okay, what if I at this point say, "Oh no, wait, I didn't mean Alice. I was going to do something else." Right? So this happens all the time. But if you remember from earlier, we're now in a dialogue. We've pushed the stack, the dialogue stack, and we're now down in this dialogue that's trying to figure out which user to get the status of. And so if I now say something like, "Oh, never mind," it will, if I don't do anything special, it's going to look for a user called never mind, right? Which is only going to frustrate the poor user even worse. So I actually had to program this interrupt logic in. So it has a few keywords. One of them is cancel. And it will actually say, okay, is there anything else I can do for you? So it will back off and go back to the main dialogue where it will take a new command. So that's all it is. It's not quite as colorful as people in Boston or New York on the street trying to talk about something, but it's still really quite useful. So let me show you how this works. Um, this is actually down inside of the Get User Status dialog. So if you remember when I ask about a specific user, um, it fires this trigger, and there's a bunch of different utterances that will trigger that. We're going to try to extract the name of the person. And if it works, we're going to call this child dialog get user status. Get user status has a main entry point here, which is begin dialog. And when I interrupted it, it was down here where it was trying to disambiguate which user did I want. But somehow when I said cancel, instead of looking for the user named cancel, well, that would mess things up. What if somebody was named cancel? That reminder to everyone: don't name your child cancel or stop or halt or anything like that, because
Yeah,
they will.
it might mess up the entire bot framework thing.
Yeah, not to mention the poor child is going to be probably really confused a lot of the time. Anyway, so the way this works is I created another trigger called cancel. And cancel is, notice that cancel is inside of the child dialog. It's a trigger inside the child dialog, not the main dialog. And there's a few words I said: cancel, stop, quit, never mind. All these, any one of these would work. And Aicha went into some detail a few videos ago about how this works with language understanding. This is the same thing. And the action that it does is really simple. It does an action called cancel all active dialogues, which brings us back to the main. Well, actually, it sends this little response, which you saw one of them was, okay, is there anything else I can do for you? And then it cancels all the active dialogues, which brings us back to the main dialogue looking for a new intent. The only trick of this, and this was something I kind of had to dig a little bit to figure out. So I'll offer it for everyone, is that inside of this prompt right here, I actually had to do something a little bit special. So if I click on the prompt and I go to Other, you'll see that one of the configurations I can do here is I can allow interruptions. Now, when I first started, I set allow interruptions to true. And what happened was, no matter what I typed, it thought I was an interruption, and it canceled out all the dialogues, and I was back at the beginning again. So the trick is to go in and look at those Lewis intent variables. So equals says this is an expression. Pound sign says this is an intent, one of the intent scores. And then the cancel score is the score for the trigger called cancel over here, has to be greater than 80%. So as Ayca explained earlier, right, that Lewis is all probability based, and it's going to give us a probability that we've matched. So if Lewis said 80% or greater probable that what was just said was a cancel request, then it will allow the interruptions, and then it will work. But if I type Alice or first choice or whatever, if I type something else, it's not going to fire, and it's going to continue to run inside of the get user status dialog and get me the data. So that's about it. Yeah, that's about it. So I think I was also impressed that it works so well, and that Lewis, it also helped me, and I'm glad you said that, to understand that Lewis is running every time you type something. The Lewis model is running. And so what that means as a practical point is that you have to save away the intent before you do another prompt, because that prompt is going to run through Lewis. It's going to get a new intent. It may or may not trigger depending on the allow interruptions, but it's going to change the intent based on the most recent thing the user typed. And thanks for explaining it, because I did notice inside of Lewis, it was creating, you know, utterances for intents for things that I didn't even think of, because they were part of a prompt later on in the bot. Everything goes through Lewis, which is better than what I was doing when I was hand coding my bot. I only checked Lewis at the top in the main dialogue.
Yes, so this is one of the tricks that we use a lot if you want to create a smart bot.
Very cool. So I think that kind of wraps it up for our series. It's kind of the end for now, but maybe we'll come back with some more. If anybody out there has some requests of more things that you want to see about bots or Teams applications, please leave it in the comments. We'd love to hear from you and make some more videos for you.
We have some other series recommended in the description box. Check out those series too, you might be interested in. And if you want to see more Microsoft 365 related videos, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks everyone for watching.
Bye.
Bye.